Good morning. Good morning out there. It's drippy. It's Seattle. Yay. And it's getting close to fall.
We're back to what we're known for.
I know. I feel so much better.
I think a lot of us needed it.
I do. I do. The other day I was at Reiki Oasis and I was getting ready for my next client, right? And all of a sudden I heard this noise and I thought, wow, it sounds like it's raining. And Benny, I mean, it rained suddenly, like boom, and the skies opened and it was like.
Was that earlier this week or last week?
Yeah, that was this week. That was
okay. Must have just skipped right over my.
A couple of days ago.
Area.
Yeah.
But it was
Tuesday.
liquid sunshine. That's what we really need.
Sunshine.
Yep, our grounds need it. Our world needs it for a lot of things. For our pre-interview conversation.
We
before
need to
bringing on our
wash
guest today.
away.
Yes.
Wash away. That's right. And we do send out lots of good love, Reiki support, prayers for those that are in the pathway of Hurricane Florence.
Yeah, I couldn't really imagine myself living there. I mean, I get it, and I'm so thankful living here too. Mm-hmm. But wow.
Yeah.
I mean, just out of you've got to just leave.
Yeah. You do. I think you do.
Big hearts to them.
Yeah, big hearts to them. And anyway, this is Loretta Brown. Welcome to the original Loretta Brown Show.
Hopefully Mother Nature will give them a little break.
Yeah, I'm always
not
saying,
as bad as what the news broadcasters like us say about it.
Yeah, because quite often we do like to create a little bit of sensation. But yeah, come on.
Bit of a storm ourselves.
Come on, Mom. Mm-hmm. Be gentle with us, please.
Right?
Be gentle with us. Like Planet Venus, please be a little gentle with us right now. Yeah. So I am the owner of Reiki Oasis, located right here in the greater Seattle area. And I'm so glad when I get out and meet people. We had a wonderful, amazing crystal bowl healing concert at Bala Yoga Sunday night. It was pure divine love. It was so loving and gentle. And quite a few people came up afterwards and said there was so much love in the room. And boys, don't we need more of that right now? You know, we go through all kinds of things. A few announcements about Reiki Oasis. I do have the Temple of the Divine Feminine this coming Saturday, which is my monthly class for women. And we get together and we talk about everything from, can I say sex on the radio? Yeah.
Yes, it's a medical term.
Okay, it's a medical term. We talk about everything from sex to sacred mysteries. Yeah, we do. And if you're interested in
You're
that
so
class,
cute.
I know.
You say it too. You're just barely dancing around it like I want to. Just go for it.
We're talking about Mom. I got a little nervous.
This is true. Got to protect.
Yeah, got to be careful,
them.
right? You know, sometimes we do that. But we have a very, very deep healing time, and we connect as women and talk about those things that. You know, it's not that we don't want the men there, because I'd love to have the men there, but sometimes, we have this woundedness and we just need to get to it with our sisters. So that's really what it's all about. And if you're interested in that class, you can sign up at schedule.reikioasis.com. And you can also contact me, Loretta Brown. I'll tell you more about it. You can send me a email. I was trying to remember what that was called. Man, I'm spooky this morning. info@reikioasis.com. Benny's like, yeah, what's new?
Spooky? I don't know what spooky was all about.
Spooky. Right. I don't know. Well, because I was talking to one of my friends who works in the paranormal last night, and I think I got a little overboard.
That'll do it.
Yeah. Kind of woke up in the night going.
No, we're going to hold it right there. Just hold it right there.
Okay, well, wait right there.
Wait right there.
No more of that. Okay. So Temple of the Divine Feminine is this Saturday, and the last Saturday of this month is a Reiki Masterclass for those of you who are wanting to move forward in Reiki Master. And, of course, you have to have taken Reiki 1 or Reiki 2 from a Reiki Master in order to attend that class. You can find out more about it, again, at Reiki Oasis, or schedule.reikioasis.com. And, of course, I'm just saying this on the radio because I've had so many people contact me. You know, I am going to be gone. I'm taking a group of people to Egypt. And anytime I do that, it jams my schedule up even worse than normal. And so if you're trying to get an appointment, just a little FYI, do it sooner rather than later, because I'm already booking into December and January and February. So it does happen. And I really want to be there for you, but, there's one of me. There's many, many guides and angels, and, of course, there's God, and there's lots of help out there. So.
And one St. Nick.
Yeah, and one St. Nick.
So you can't rush him.
No.
And
people are counting down, Benny.
Right.
St. Nick.
I told you you can go to, NORAD. you know, you can go online and hit the tracking of him.
Already?
No, I don't know about now, but maybe it's probably just him like in one little area.
You know, he's probably anxious. Come on, let's get to
probably
it.
in Cabo San Lucas still.
Yeah. Let's skip over some of this stuff and get on with it.
Right.
And a big thank you to my listeners. We are a listener-supported show. That's right. It does cost for airtime, and I love being here. If you want to be part of my Patreon family, please go to patreon.com/thelorettabrown.show.com to help keep this amazing transformational radio on the air for you, so that, you know, I mean, there's a lot of radio shows out there, but you can be listening in your car and just click us on. And of course, hello to all you YouTubers who just love watching me talk on the microphone, because that's hysterical, and I love you all. So as a quick little astrology check-in before I bring on my amazing guest, and I just want to give you, I'm saying this for Benny. Benny, September is a much better month than August.
Sweet. But right now, it hasn't really been so nice.
Well,
hopefully the second half.
You know, because the planets are starting to move forward. We had those 6 planets retrograde, and we're done with eclipses. Yeah. So we only have 2 planets left that are retrograde.
Come on, planets.
I know.
Get moving.
And we just had this new moon in Virgo, and Virgo organizes the zodiac. She's kind of that neat, clean organizer. One of my clients was a Virgo yesterday, and I always just gaze at them adoringly, because I'm not like that. I'm a little fiery, in case you hadn't figured it out. And I always go, oh, that's lovely Virgo energy. Oh, I just think I'll just calm down now. So anyway, with Virgo with the organizer of the zodiac, and then we have Venus moving from Scorpio to Libra. Ah, that sounds better. We'll show you how to rewire your fears about love and intimacy, so you can have better, more mature relationships with others. So this is a time to face your deepest fears about love and intimacy, and sex is part of that, right? Just saying.
You still can't even say it, can you?
Sex.
There you go. See? Say it one more time.
Sex.
See, now it's out.
Okay, I feel better.
One more time.
It's actually
one more time.
Sex.
There.
Sex. Yeah.
Now you're comfortable with it.
Okay, now I'm better.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. That's a great segue for my guest today.
It's all about freedom.
It is. It's about freedom, and it's about our relationships. And of course, the first relationship is with self. So my guest today is Dr. Dravon James, and I'm so honored to have her here. She's an author, an inspirational speaker, a pharmacist, a mother, an actress, and the author of Freedom is Your Birthright. She's also the founder of Everyday Peace, and she says that she teaches and inspires others on how to utilize everything that shows up in their lives, the good, the bad, and everything in between, as stepping stones on the path to building the life of their dreams. She brings light into others' lives by sharing her Everyday Peace message. Welcome so much to the show, Dr. James.
Thank you. I am so happy and delighted to be with you guys today.
We can't behave ourselves. I don't know what's going on.
I'm doing just fine.
Let's not even try. Let's throw caution to the wind.
Okay, thank you. Because freedom is our birthright, right?
That's right. Absolutely. We're going to blame it all on that.
Thank you. I'm going to exhale now. Oh, yeah. So you have such a wonderful list of things, right? And I know you get asked this all the time, because it's a great starting point. How did you become a motivational speaker? And you know, you were born on where? The east side of Chicago?
South side.
South side. Honey, how'd you get here?
Yeah, so it's a long short story, is that I was always, I guess, destined to do this. I'm sure that I was, but if you had looked at my beginnings in life, you would have never thought that I would have been the person. I wouldn't have picked me out in the crowd. I wouldn't have said to that girl sitting in first grade or third grade or even high school, yep, it's you. I would not have picked me, because I didn't have what I thought all of the things that a person who would set out to inspire the world or even herself really had. But when I was growing up, I had an interesting childhood, but something miraculous happened to me, I believe, is my mom attended two churches. She attended a metaphysical church, New Age, New Thought, and she attended a Pentecostal church, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. And the Saturday never knew about the Sunday never knew about the Saturday, because she didn't want anybody to know that she did both. But what happened for me is that when I sat there, I said to her one day, I said, Mom, these two organizations talk about the same thing. I don't understand why what's the big deal? They're talking about the same thing. They're using different terminology, but it's definitely the same thought. Fast forward to my year before I leave for college, the summer before I left for college, my younger brother gives me a book, The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. I read that book and I said, I had never even heard of the phrase motivational speaker or inspirational speaker, but I knew that everything I read in that book was what I had been using to some degree, as elementary as I had been doing it, to help propel my life forward. So I started studying everything I could throughout my college years, throughout my young adult years, everything that I could get my hands on that remotely looked like it was going to show me and teach me about how to utilize these amazing forces, which I call peace. By the way, my definition of peace is nothing missing, nothing broken, wholeness, completeness, totality. Not my definition, just some definition I've picked up over the years, but that's what I use when I say peace. But I started studying it, and then I decided one day, through trial, and a whole bunch of problems happened in my life all in the same month. And I said, you know what? I'm using this stuff for myself. There could be one other person on the planet who this would help. And that's why I started doing it outwardly for the public.
Oh, there is so much in what you just said. Like that journey, the richness of that journey, the struggle of that journey. Everything to me is hidden within that. And then your definition of peace is, I'm just going to say it like this. Like we often say, because my clients will come to me and they'll go, oh, Loretta, I want to feel peaceful. I want peace, right? And as though it's just this feeling, right? It's this fleeting thing, and it comes and it goes, and in between we're anxious and fearful and riled up, But you're talking about this at a completely different level.
Right.
This is very permeating. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a choice. And people think of it like they think, well, I got to be sitting in I don't know, meditating 20 hours a day. Absolutely not. It's got to fit into. It's designed to fit into. You got to make it part of your everyday life. When the kids don't behave, when the husbands and the spouses walk out, when the doctor's reports aren't saying what they should say to make you happy, it's still there. It's still available.
Yeah, it feels to me like, excuse me, it feels to me like when we so get this, which we're going to talk more about, but when we so get this, it's like the fabric, like the background, like when I just pause for a moment, it's like, oh, there it is. There's that piece.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. I just have to kind of go slow there for a moment because that's very powerful.
You make me smile when you say that. Just to hear another person say, "It's right there. There it is, right there."
It's right there.
Oh my gosh, it's right there.
It's right there, and we can't access it. As you say, and people do this. They're like, a lot of people come into me and they'll go, "Oh my day, Loretta, you just have no idea how much I have to do." And I'm thinking, yeah, I probably do, but you do too, right?
Right. I probably get it.
And they're like, I want to meditate, but I don't have time, And I'm a firm proponent of if you put on your list, okay, here's my list of to-dos, and then here's meditation, it's like that's just another to-do.
Right.
So how do we weave this into our life? How do we get there?
The first is to realize that it is a part of you. It's a part of you. Just like, I don't know, your fingernail, it's there. It's available to you. How do you make a conscious decision to tap into that energy is a skill. Because And I'll talk a little bit about meditation. People tell me all the time, "Oh my gosh, I can't meditate. I can't sit still." Well, maybe it's not meant for you to sit still. Why don't you do a walking meditation?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're always thinking and you're always talking to yourself. You're just not paying attention to it. So the first thing is to do is to develop an intimate relationship with you, with self.
Mm.
With an intimate relationship with self. We're so busy and we're so wired to reach outward and try to develop a relationship with somebody else. We want this, we want that from somebody else, and we haven't even taken the time, invested the energy into having it with ourselves. It starts there. It starts there, to realize that when you're on top of the world and everything you're doing, everybody's applauding at, and it feels good. Or when the world's on top of you and everything, you can't even make a left turn without somebody criticizing it.
Mm.
It's still there. You're still just as awesome. Just as no guilt, no condemnation. You're still just as lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. And we don't do that because we get caught up in our emotionality of, oh, how dare they do that? And, oh,
Hmm.
they need to get out of my way. And, oh,
Right.
Gabby, 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 we do this gossipy conversation with people. In fact, um, so many times we're stuck in that habit, because you talked about positive thinking, where it's stuck in that habit of negativity.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah. And we're so negative with ourselves. Oh, my gosh.
yeah, that self-talk is negative, but then we get together with our girlfriends and it's just a biatch session, right? Like, oh, let's get
Hmm.
together so we can get it out, right?
Right. And
Huh,
nobody has the courage to stop it.
yeah, nobody, and I do have people that will say, I was out with my friends and they just get so negative and I don't enjoy it anymore. What do I do?
Mhm.
So how do we
Yeah,
get out of that? Because I'm sure you have you have come from that place.
I have. And when I made the conscious decision, the outward decision that I was going to replace fear in my life. I was gonna not use fear to make any of my decisions anymore. I just didn't want the help of fear anymore. And one of the things I decided to do was to really monitor my conversations, the words that were coming out of my mouth. And it was really hard in the beginning because I didn't really know how to have a conversation with anybody, because I realized that the whole thing was complaining about the weather, about the traffic, about the politics, of course about the job, of course about the kids, of course about the husband. The whole thing was complaining, and I didn't know how to interject my new way of thinking, my new way of being, without seeming to be, you know, uh, holier than thou or judgmental. I definitely didn't want to lose friends, and
Hmm.
so I just was quiet. I just was quiet. And then after a while, I would find something to compliment the complainer about. I just find something to be grateful about in that moment.
Mm.
I said, oh, and it could be something, it was always genuine. And it could be something as small as, well, your hair really looks good today. I really like that. Or just something, anything. I like the way you put your words together, anything. And what I noticed eventually, and it took a while for me to even get comfortable there, it wasn't fast. Inside of myself, I was like, I feel so awkward. But I let the awkwardness just hang there in the air. I
Mm.
was brave enough to do that. I was okay with being awkward, and people would say, okay, Dravon, we'll see you later. I'm like, yeah, see you later. So I got past that point, but you know what I noticed eventually is that people started changing their conversation in my
Mm.
in my presence. We still talked about the same thing, about the spouse, about the kids, about the weather, about the traffic, but we talked about it differently.
Yeah.
Aren't you glad that you left 10 minutes late because did you see the accident that happened so it was different. And I did that for myself by allowing myself to feel awkward. And that awkwardness was the hardest part in the beginning because I wanted to fit in. No one
Hmm.
wants to be an outcast.
Hmm.
Even as an adult, we don't want that. And I didn't want to shame people into change. That's not
Mm.
lasting. I didn't want to do that. So I weathered the storm with the awkwardness, and then I found out how to get around that, finding something. I talk a lot about being grateful for something in the present moment, and I would find something about the people that I was with to be grateful about, and I'd share it with them in a not so creepy way. I would just say, oh my gosh, like I said, your hair looks really good, or oh my goodness gracious, I saw your kid was got on the soccer team. Anything. It would change the tenor of the conversation.
I love what you're saying. Absolutely love it because it's multi-layered, as you're saying. We, I think, are either taught or programmed, or it's our experience of these complaining get-togethers, or this constant complaining, right? And trying to outdo each other. And I've had so many people say, how do I do this? Do I have to get rid of those toxic people? Can they not be in my life anymore? And this idea that, what if we find something to be grateful for? What if we compliment instead of complain, and then sit in the awkwardness? That's very uncomfortable.
Right, and you'll find that organically, and this is the beautiful part of this, because that's where the power, the good stuff is. But organically, the universe sort of knows it's going to move some people along, because everybody's not going along for the ride at the same time, right? It's going to organically just move some people out of your circle, and you think you're going to miss them, but in the same space, it's going to move some people into your circle.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to find that, oh gosh, I didn't miss anything at all. I didn't miss anything at all. I got, I stood my ground. I endured the awkwardness. I stood heavy on, my determination to find something to focus on that was positive, or that was complimentary, that expressed gratitude. I did that. And look what happened. I got this new person that replaced this old person that left, and I barely even know they're gone.
Yeah.
Because everybody's not going to stay.
Yeah, they're not. Years ago, somebody said to me, they said, Loretta, don't let others hold you back from what it is that your heart and your guidance is directing you toward. If you move forward, if you have even this tiny little bit of courage or fortitude or whatever that requires in order for you to say, no, that is not for me, this is for me, then as you move forward on your path, you will discover who is really meant to be on that path with you. And like you say, people do, they will. I believe in frequency. I'm an energy worker and a musician, so to me everything's frequency. And it's like, am I a match to that? I might have been a match to that when I was a constant complainer. But now that I am seeing the light, waking up, healing myself, however you want to say it, now that I'm saying, no, I'm not going to go down that road, I'm going to go up here, then things around you will change.
And we have got to be comfortable with change. I love that. You see, you're a musician, you work with energy frequencies. We are all vibrating at a different frequency, and that's okay. It's not good, bad. It's okay. I'm not vibrating at that frequency anymore. And so that's not where I am.
Right.
We all get ready for different levels at different times. One level not being greater than another level, because we're all equally as lovely at whatever level we're on. But when we make the decision, however, we make that decision to say, you know what, I'm going to use peace every day as the foundational ground that I stand on to make all of my decisions, to move forward, to drive my conversations, to drive my thought processes. That means that there's some people, some circumstances that I just can't get involved in. I just refuse to get involved with them, because it's going to really cause my position to be overly challenged, overly taxed. I got to save that energy for the stuff that I don't know is coming. I can't mix in with this conversation and these people anymore, because I know where that's going. I know that's going to get me, my energy's moving and flowing in the wrong direction, change my focus. I don't need that right now.
I like how you're talking about that too, because it helps dissolve this concept of judgment. Like, those people are bad, that's why I can't be with them. It's you don't need to go there. You can just say, I know where I'm going to go with that, or that's going to affect me this way, and So I'm going to choose a different way if I'm hearing you correctly.
Right, exactly. Because once we get into that judgment, oh, the ego loves that, we get into that
Juicy
zone.
judgment. Yeah.
Right. We get in that judgment zone. And now what are we doing with our precious time and our precious energy? We're really, it's like fear has found a back door, a little crevice, if you will, and it's working on us from that angle. So I always say that, everybody's equally lovely at whatever phase that they are. It may just be that I put the responsibility on me. I am I am not there. It's not going to serve me and the goal that I have for my life at
Mm-hmm.
this point. Now, maybe at one point, like you said, maybe it did. I was there. I'm not there anymore. Doesn't mean that I'm better. I'm just not there. I'm not on the left side of the street, on the right side of the street. Both, however you want to look at it, it's not higher or lower, good or bad. It's just this is the path that I have consciously chosen, and that is my right. I am free to do that, and I must exercise that freedom to say that I am consciously choosing this because this is what I ultimately want to create.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's powerful. That's so powerful. I'm going to choose this because that's what I consciously want to create. That's fantastic. Yeah. We are going to take a little station break. Before we do that, I want to remind the listening audience, this is Loretta Brown. My guest today is Dr. Dravon James. She is the author of Freedom is Your Birthright and the founder of Everyday Peace. After the break, we're going to open up the lines if you'd like to call in. The number is 425-373-5527 or 1-888-298-5569. And this is just a powerful opportunity for you to connect with Dr. James with a question that you might have about Freedom is Your Birthright, or we're going to talk a little bit more about damaged relationships. We'll be right back.
Like to hear it? Here it go. Free your mind.
Preceding audio was via a Skype call. Energy is powerful. It's all around us, mysterious, full of potential. Directing positive, healing energy to raise your vibrational rate through Reiki can change your life. Reiki Master Loretta Brown has relieved stress, sadness, anger, and even helped clients lose weight, stop smoking, and end sleep disorders. Worldwide, people have sought out Reiki Oasis. If you want help with your dis-ease, visit ReikiOasis.com. Harness life's energy. Visit ReikiOasis.com today.
When you look at me, you might see my tremor,
my lack of facial expression,
a person with Parkinson's disease.
But you may not see that I have trouble sleeping,
that no two treatment plans are the same.
I was diagnosed at 65.
37, earlier than most.
But if you look closer,
you'll see
a warrior mom,
an endurance athlete, someone who is still dancing,
someone with a lot of fight.
Every 9 minutes, someone is diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
And every one of them can turn to the American Parkinson's Disease Association for education,
for community,
for support.
Look closer,
and you'll see
my resolve,
my determination, my spirit
is unshakable.
Visit apdaparkinson.org to learn more and show your support today.
Alternative Talk 1150. We're on your radio at 1150 a.m. We're on your HD radio at 98.9 Channel 3.
So many ways to listen.
We're on the web at 1150kknw.com, streaming live audio and video as well as MP3 archives of many of our shows.
So many ways to listen.
And now, we're on your smartphone or tablet. Download our free app in the Apple App Store or Google Play and take Alternative Talk 1150 anywhere you go.
So many ways to listen.
Let angels and Reiki and the search for mystical knowledge become a regular part of your routine Thursday mornings at 8 a.m. Loretta Brown, owner of Reiki Oasis, Reiki Master Teacher, an angel messenger, and healing musician, all wrapped into one as she uses her voice to share knowledge of great mysteries, energetic laws, and messages of love from the divine. Join her and her show every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. to open your heart and heal your soul. Visit ReikiOasis.com for more information about her show.
Radio with no added hormones or preservatives. All natural alternative talk, 1150 a.m.
We are having fun this morning, and I love that music. I think I need to just do a music listening day or
We can
something.
do that.
Yeah.
I'm totally down.
Lovely. That's just great. Great talk today. This is Loretta Brown. My guest is the amazing Dr. Dravon James. She has written a wonderful little book full of bigness called Freedom is Your Birthright. She is a motivational speaker, inspirational speaker, author, pharmacist, mother, actress, and I'm just going to say she's kind of got this. I think she's got something to really share with us. If you'd like to call in with a question, the lines are open, 425-373-5527 or 1-888-298-5569. I want to talk for just a little bit about your book, right? Freedom is Your Birthright. And this,
Right.
Tell me about how this book came about. And I understand it's a part of a series that you're writing.
It is. It is the first book in what I call my stepping stone series, meaning each stepping stone, each book is designed to enlighten and give you the skill sets that you need to really live in this place of everyday peace, a day where there's nothing missing, nothing broken, totality, wholeness, completeness. So I started with freedom because before we can even say that we are willing to live in this space and reap all the benefits of that, we got to know that we're free to do that. We are free. There's nothing stopping us from changing the way or enhancing the way that we perceive ourselves, our purpose, and our activity on the planet Earth. So I started there because a lot of us are really, really confused about how much freedom we really have. And we give it away so freely. We let someone else determine so many things about our life. As small as, what kind of car we drive, to as big as how we view ourselves, how we view ourselves, how significant we are. So accepting that first, and that's what this book attempts to do, and I think does really well. It's a very small book. I like to call it a tiny book, less than 100 pages, on purpose, because I really wanted people, if I could have done it in 50 pages, I would have. I really wanted people to read from the beginning to the end. Because you know how that goes. We get a book that's 300, 400 pages and we don't finish it. And we're like, oh, it's really nice. I kind of didn't get all of it. I want people to go from the beginning to the end, do the exercises, and then use it as a pocket reference. I read a little bit of it like every day. Just a little something to remind myself, because we forget, we all do, no matter how long we've been doing it, something happens, it's either tragic or whatever, and we forget, we get caught up in the moment and we start giving our freedom away. And if we don't get ourselves back on track quickly, a whole week has gone by and we gave a whole week away, or we gave a whole month away. I talk about in the book, I gave a whole day away to anger over something that my husband did. Oh my gosh, I've been married 23 years. He may have done it year 15, but something happened that triggered the memory. And I didn't take the moment to realize, like, why was my mood spiraling down? And at the end of the day, I wasted a whole day. At the end of the day, I'm driving and I said to myself, oh my goodness, I realized how I got here. This happened in my life. It was a financial issue, thinking about college expenses for my daughter. And then I thought about all these other things. Before you know it, bam, I was on a slippery slope going downward, and I landed somewhere in the gutter. And I stayed there all day long because I didn't take a moment to go back, exercise my freedom. That could have turned into a whole week, a whole month, a whole year, off of my life. Why? Because we have to accept that we are free. How we perceive things, how we perceive ourselves. We're freedom. Just because someone else says this is the worst time ever. Oh, wait a second. Some really horrible things are happening. But what happens in the valley, what we know happens in the valley, is all of the learning. So this is the best time for me to improve and come out, like I say in the books, shining like new money. This is the best time for that. Not though it's some bad stuff are happening. Got to acknowledge it. I'm not a person who says put your head in the sand, act like you don't see it. That is malarkey.
Um,
We see it.
in your book, I think you talk about a girlfriend saying, keep on going on, so you'll shine like new money or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah. That she used to tell
shine.
me that all the time.
That's lovely because that's a true gift. True gift.
Yeah.
I'm gonna revisit what you just said because it's powerful. When you said we give our freedom away, and then you shared how something really upset you, and you spent a whole day in
Yeah.
that dark space,
Mhm.
and in that moment, your freedom was to choose a different way, to align yourself more directly with who you are. It's a question.
Yeah, yeah. And what I
Yeah.
did, right, and then here is the thing, it's life is happening so fast. I didn't even realize, you know how you get in a funk or something happens and you're not even taking time to get to know yourself to do a self-assessment. You just realize you're in a bad mood. You're just not for it today, right? And I went through my day that way. Oh my goodness. I went through the whole day that way and I didn't realize where the emotion came from. Like I couldn't even figure out like how I got in that energy, where it
Mm.
came from.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the day, I'm driving home and I just said, I can't take it anymore. I'm just miserable. I'm alone in this car and I'm miserable. And I started just, thinking, being gentle with myself, like you have to do that. You have to give yourself permission. You have to say that I love me right here with this horrible attitude, with this all this stinkiness that's going on around me. I'm still lovable. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still in love with me. You're still okay, Dravon. Not, I did all of that. And then finally, my inner self reveals to me, oh, you're angry about this. Now that happened in the past. Remember, you already forgave him for that,
Mm.
And then I
Mm-hmm.
have to be a little sassy and say, I did. Why? Why did I forgive
Yeah, because you're in that space.
right, right.
Like junkyard
But I can't.
dog. Rah.
Right, right. So you got to accept these parts of yourself. We got to stop being so hard on ourselves.
Mm.
We're either hard on ourselves because we are ashamed of our behavior, or we're overlooking parts of ourselves because we are ashamed of our behavior. Either way, we got to get honest with ourselves and say, here's what I see. Here's what I know about you, self, is that you are amazing. You are lovable. Here's a few things we're going to tweak.
Yeah.
We got to be honest with ourselves.
Yeah, that honesty and like you say, as you're driving in the car, you're finally doing some introspection around that, going, wow, how did I get here? What is really, and I think that's the question, what's really going on? Why am I so where I'm at? Um,
Yeah.
and I think sometimes, we get caught in a couple of things. We get caught in our story because that's such a great story. And the story also keeps us from looking at our part of that creation. Like, look, really, I'm ashamed of my behavior, so I'm just going to junkyard dog you, and you're going to be the problem, and I'm going to make this big story up and get everybody on my side, right?
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The games that ego plays, right, to keep us the winner when it's really making us the loser, and we
Mm.
don't get it. We
Yeah.
don't get it. We are the star, and probably really the only actor in our own stage play, right?
Right.
We have everything centers around us, and we sort of get in this place where we're shadow boxing ourselves because we're trying to make everything is against us in some form or fashion. If it's not working out, we can blame this person, we can blame that person, or we can, when things get really low and we get really depressed, we can start blaming ourselves and turn that anger inward on ourselves.
Mm.
Blame does not serve us. It does not serve us. We don't need it. We do not need it.
Yeah. Yeah. And this idea of, number one, can I admit that I may have not been on my best behavior, right? Can I admit I just got angry? Can I admit I lost it, that I'm human? Can I actually admit that? And then you brought up a great thing in there. You said something about forgiveness.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
talk about the power of forgiveness.
That's actually the second book that I'm working on, the Stepping Stone series, and I talk a little bit about it in this book here. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools that we have inside of us. It has the power to create so many amazing things. And when we hold it captive and we don't unlock the treasure chest that holds forgiveness in there, we really shortchange our lives. And the first place to start, we always start with self, always start with self. How we treat others is such a good indicator of how we feel about ourselves. When I meet people who say, I will never forgive this person for this, and I always want to just wrap my arms around them and say, and what is it that you won't forgive yourself for?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can go ahead and forgive yourself for it. A lot of times we don't want to admit that we're wrong, or that
Oh, no,
our
I'm
partner, yeah.
I'm never wrong, Dr. James.
Right.
I'm never wrong.
Right, because and because we think that to say we're wrong, see, this is such a beautiful. We're all the same and so individual at the same time, but there's part of us that wants to be loved by and liked by everything and everybody. So if I'm wrong, then we have this feeling like, how could you ever love somebody who's wrong? How could you? I'm a little less lovable if I'm wrong, and it's okay, So first thing we have to do is convince ourselves that you're going to be wrong about a lot of things, darling. You're gonna be wrong about a lot, and me as myself, I'm never gonna desert you. I'm gonna be here from the beginning to the end. I'm gonna be with you no matter what. There's nothing that you can do to get rid of me. You can't be too wrong for me to walk away. I am you, your inner self. When you develop that relationship with yourself, you start attracting people around you who feel the same way about you, because you start feeling the same way about others. Forgiveness is it's so simple to do, but it starts with us. It starts with us really, really loving ourselves. And in order to love yourself, you can't really love somebody that you don't know. You can like them a lot, but you can't really love them. You got to get to know you.
Well, and I think love does go into the depth of going, okay, they're not perfect, meaning I'm not perfect, or maybe I am perfect, because that word perfect is so problematic, right? My idea of perfection, God's idea of perfection, your idea of perfection, what is it, right? So if we're perfectly created the way we are, right, if you want to kind of play with that a little bit, we end up going, can I actually allow myself to love myself right now just the way I am? What if I did that? What would happen, right?
I know.
And if I did that, what would happen in my relationships with that other one? Because that's going to change how I look at them. And woven in there, I was thinking about, judgment, but also this bitterness that we hold. We never forgive them. 25 years ago, you did this awful thing, and and so what happens when we let go of that bitterness? And this might be two questions. It's coming fast to me, but there's also this idea of what is forgiveness? Because I have a lot of people that come to me and they tell me, believe me, people have had horrible lives. You know that yourself.
Yeah.
And in the middle of that, they'll say, well, how can I ever forget that? How can I forgive it? Like they think they need to make it okay. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I would love to. And when you were saying that, I got to tell you this quick story, which may answer a lot of what we're talking about.
Okay.
I had the opportunity to meet a woman some years ago, and oh my gosh, quite a few years ago, as a matter of fact, because my daughter was small then. But she told me about her firstborn. And when she told me about her child, I thought it was a recent event. She said, my daughter died, and she died at daycare, and the house caught fire, and all of the children got out except for my daughter. Now, I thought when she was telling me that maybe it happened like last year.
Yeah.
This had happened about 12 years ago, but it was the same intensity and the same anger and the pain. And my heart, I lost my firstborn too. So my heart was, ripped apart. But when she told me about the daycare provider, it was total venom and just, the hatred that she had for this woman. So we talked and we got to develop a little relationship over time, and we just talked about some of the things we had been through. And I happened to have the conversation to ask her one day. I said, I often ask myself with the things that I felt I've gone through, what if that had happened to the lady next door to me? What if her son, instead of mine, what if her son? Would that be okay?
Mm.
I said, so it wouldn't be my pain anymore. And I could stand by and I could bring by the cake and I could cook the dinner, but it wouldn't be my pain. I could go home and be okay. Is that who I would put it on? What about the person who cut me off on the road? Would I put it on them? I said, the thing that I thought about and I think about constantly is that I would not have chosen this situation for me. And I'm sure you wouldn't have chosen that situation for you. You wouldn't have chosen it. But you wouldn't have chosen it for anybody else either. You don't hate anybody that much to wish that on them. So to withhold forgiveness for this woman is to say that she could only carry so many babies out at a time. She should have left somebody else's baby.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it, and she broke down, she cried, and she said, you know what? I just wish, she said, I guess I'm mostly angry at God. I said, yep, I can understand that. I can understand that. But when we realize that my anger, my unforgiveness, and whatever, I don't want to make this a spiritual kind of thing. Whether you call it the universe, whether you call it Donald Duck, it doesn't matter. It was with source.
Right.
Because that's what she said, is I'm angry with source. Whatever the source is that took this baby from me, that's what I'm angry with. Okay, well, I believe that source can handle that. I believe that we can put that conversation where it belongs and say, you know what, there's something in the taking away of this that you wanted me to get. I could have learned it probably a different way if you would have asked me, but you didn't ask me. So I got to learn this, whatever this is. I got to grow and develop through the situation that you've placed in my life. Really doesn't matter who else was involved on this planet Earth to create this situation, because the situation is a situation. So for me to withhold forgiveness from party A who played a part in this is senseless.
Mm.
So that's approaching it, and it takes a while to get there. I know for me, when I started out with forgiveness, I would always say is that right now, I want for you what the universe wants for you. That's it. It absolves me for anything. And then that was my first level of forgiveness, is saying that I can want for you what the universe wants for you. And I pray the universe wants something really bad for you because you did something horrible to me. But,
Mm-hmm.
I went through that stage, and I said, that's where I am. I don't want my will or me wanting something for you. I want what the universe wants for you. And then I got to the next level of saying that, you know what? In this situation, as horrible as it may seem, as challenging as it may seem, can I accept and know that the situation has shown up for one reason and one reason only, and that is to bow down and serve me?
Mm.
That's why it's here, because I'm going to use this in a way that I have no idea how. You couldn't have told me growing up without a dad and, being homeless, that someday I would be using that. Not when I was going through it, not when I was in my 20s thinking that my life is the way it is because I didn't have this as a child, I didn't have this as a child. You could have never sold me on that idea. You could have never sold me on that idea. It takes a lot of studying and introspection and reflecting in a good way to say, you know what? It's because of that I grew this muscle here. And I'm not okay with this challenging situation, but I know I'll get through it. And I know when I get through it, I will be able to reach back and help somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
My life is not just about me. So that's how to get to forgiveness. What is it? It's being able to accept that the journey is about more than the players.
Yeah.
It's about more than that. It's about my part on the planet Earth, and it's come to serve me. And letting go of bitterness, because we have a choice in a lot of it. It's just happening. But we do have a choice, and our freedom is saying, this event right here, I can use it as a stumbling block, or I can use it as a stepping stone. It's either going to get in the way of me having a great life, or it's going to be a stepping stone towards my great life. That's my choice.
That is very powerful, and it is absolutely the journey, because that first step is, can I allow this to be here even though I don't understand it and it's very painful? And how long, because in there too is this, we talk about the root of bitterness and how it can get anchored in us. And we all know that at some level it turns against us. We know it's unhealthy. I mean, it's blocking us from our life or choosing that freedom, which you talk about in your book.
Yeah.
It's very
Because it
potent.
gets, it gets lodged in there. It gets lodged in there. And it becomes a weed. And the longer we let that weed fester and grow, everything else gets tangled in it. And it can be untangled, but it takes some time.
Is this tied in with your concept of leaning into the conflict?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We normally, what happens to us all the time is we brace up. Most of us, we brace up when there's conflict, and we try to find, the ego goes to work. And I'm not a basher of ego. I know that ego serves a purpose too, but ego goes to work and it tries to defend us by having us to resist conflict. It's somebody else's fault, or we put our head in the sand. We don't want to face it. It's blame, or is it either run towards it or run away from it. But most of the time, we don't go towards it. We don't lean in and say, okay, conflict is here. Let me acknowledge it first, because we cannot deal with what we do not acknowledge. Let me acknowledge what it is. Let me acknowledge how it's making me feel. Get right in conflict space and say, here I am. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm seeing. If it's an external conflict, looking for our part. How are we contributing to this? How are we contributing? Because we don't necessarily see that first off. But we got some. If it's conflict, it means external conflict requires more than one person.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I think that our expectation plays into that a lot too. Like, I expect you to fill in the blank. You should have read the script, right, and known what you were supposed to say and do. What's wrong with you, right?
Right. And then how dare you I give you the information and you disagree.
Yeah, what's going on here, right? It's just so at the living level of life. It's great.
Yeah.
What so many couples come to me and individuals, and they'll say, what has happened to the love in my relationship or my marriage? And we talk about the 7-year itch. How can couples work through this so their love becomes enduring? It endures it.
Yeah. We all want the kind of love that lasts. And I think, it's interesting. I was talking to somebody today that they're on their 6th anniversary. I said, oh my goodness, you're still in the honeymoon phase, 6 years. And and so we have to realize too that love, just like everything else, in the expression of love, evolves, right? We now live in an era where you can be in constant communication with your spouse 24 hours, 7 days a week through the advances in technology. I'm not so sure that that's a good idea, but we have more ways to contact them all day long, and sometimes we do need a little space to just be. But I think in order to have a love that endures, realizing that we have no control over anyone outside of ourselves, let go of that. Let go, take that pressure and stress off of us. Do not do anything with the intentions of swaying what another person does, because you'll find so much disappointment in that. Well, I did this and I'm cooking every night, and I would think you take the trash out. Well, if you choose to cook every night, that's good. So realizing that the person that you're in love with is an individual too. If you're already married, respect that individuality. Expect for there to be changes in how the expression of love. There'll be seasons, different seasons of things. If you make the decision, because you can only make it for yourself. That my love is enduring. It is enduring. It is forgiving. It is steadfast. I intend to love you the way that I love myself.
Oh, that's a powerful one.
So that gives you that staying power. Now, organically, what has to happen when you start loving yourself, and I love this about just the way the universe works, when you start loving yourself that way, your relationship will blossom and change. Yeah, it will change. And in some relationships, you'll find that you may be with a person who's just not at that level.
Mm.
And you can keep acquiescing and changing to keep something unhealthy in your life. You're free to do that. Or perhaps you'll get to the point where you say, you know what, I now love myself, so I've evolved and I see this, and I can still love and accept change that may be that we are not together in this way.
Yeah. So I want to thank you so much for being on the show. Unfortunately, we are out of time. And my guest today is Dr. Dravon James. She's written a great book called Freedom is Your Birthright. And where do they find you, Dr. James?
My website, Dr. Dravon James, is DARVON, B like victory, ON, James.com. You can find me where I'm going to be, and all information about me there. And my book is on Amazon.com, as well as my website, Freedom is Your Birthright.
Thank you so much. And everybody, please get her book and check it out. Be kind to each other. Have a wonderful week. Bye now.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of KKNW, its management, or other advertisers. Contests are the responsibility of the host of this program and not KKNW. This is Alternative Talk 1150 AM, KKNW.